Update. My 23 female friend, 22 female, just asked me to play the violin in her wedding. I do not and have never played the violin. Also, I think she might literally be going insane. Like, really. Original story. So, my friend from school asked me to be in her wedding over lunch today. I've known this girl about 2 years, and because we have the same major, we are school friends. We partner up in classes, do projects together, etc., but I don't really know or hang out with her outside this setting. Anyways, she asked me to be in her wedding, and I assumed as a bridesmaid. But I was wrong. She said she had had a dream of her perfect wedding, and it was so beautiful she woke up crying. Wrote it all down and cried for hours because it was just so beautiful and perfect. She even made some sketches and said this was a vision from God for a wedding, and she couldn't even explain the warmth and ecstatic love to me because she didn't have the words, but that she would do anything to capture it perfectly. She then likened herself to an artist with divine inspiration and went on for about 20 minutes about the details of her inspiration and how beautiful and uniting this wedding would be. That it would change lives and be so much more than a ceremony, and that the execution was so perfect it would be more of a visual statement, an artistic dedication to love that everyone would be a living part of. In this beautiful perfect wedding, I am to the front left on the aisle, playing violin as her guests arrive, in a long white gown, feathered and beaded and soft, very romantic. I'll know it when I see it. I laughed and told her I've never played the violin before, and as such may have a hard time performing for her guests. She told me that I had a year to learn, and that this was extremely important to her. I looked at what I could of her beautiful wedding notes. They seem really insane. Lots of stuff feverishly circled or written over and over like, "Inspect what you expect," over and over, and all in white, literally scribbled over other words. All in the margins, copied into big paragraphs. The part she showed me of my role just said my name. Violin, soft and complex, beautiful and intricate, a concerto. Lots of detail. Wow, the guests. I don't know how to play violin at all. I've literally never touched one. She sounded like she was on something talking about it. She was feverish and flitting from topic to topic, and talking about how maybe I could compose something. But she wanted it to sound so intricate that no one would believe it was just one person playing it. It seems beyond normal bride stuff, and when I told her even if I did have a year to learn to play, it would be basic at best. She slammed her hand on the table and said, "Stop." Then went right back to her cheery, excited talk about her divine wedding. I very gently tried to refuse, and told her that this wedding sounded really important, and that I would be happy to try to find a professional to play for her, and she just said, no, it has to be you. I'm sure of it. And went right back to talking, as if I had suggested I wearing a hat to the beach. Just really casually dismissed. Then she dropped a bomb. Besides, I already bought your violin, and it was almost $2,000. What? I don't know how to play. I told her she was being insane, but she just kept making no noises, or putting up her hands or saying enough. Eventually, she just said the violin would be here in a few weeks, and that I needed to find someone that gives lessons and learn, and that she believed in me. She told me that worst case scenario, I get to learn a skill most people would love to learn, and that if I do well, I can have the violin as payment. But I don't want a violin. I don't play. Then she left, and here I am, dumbfounded. I can't exactly cut ties and run. It is summer now, but we have a class together currently, and 3 classes together in the fall. I can only see her getting crazier about this. She's scaring me, and while she's always had a flair for the dramatics, she's never been this crazy before. I'm not really sure if this is just mega bridezilla and she will get over it, or if I should just pretend I don't know her, or if I should call a loonabin to come pick her up. Or just take up the violin and hope whatever god of weddings visited her grants me magical powers. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Hey, this sounds a lot like a manic episode. A classic symptom is to take an interest like that to an extreme, and coupled with the euphoria, fast talking, magical thinking, and compulsive nature of her speech, it really reminds me of the mania I've encountered in my life. I'll say it's impossible to diagnose this stuff over the internet, but read up on the symptoms and see what you think. The tough part is that, if it's true, it's hard to do anything about until it's extreme enough to warrant commitment. possible harm to self or others, though it depends on where you live. Whatever you do, try not to tell her she's crazy or needs medication, as this will alienate her whether it's true or not. Anyway, I don't want to go too far down this road if I'm wrong, but feel free to ask more questions if not. Good luck. Came here to say this, but you worded it perfectly. Sounds like a manic episode. Opie, get in touch with her fiancé and tell him about this. Ask him if she's okay or if he's noticed anything strange. I think you should mention something to her fiancé and her family. This sounds like it is potentially very serious, not a temper tantrum or demands. Something is very wrong. I'm Facebook friends with her fiancé. What do I even say? I'm sure she's told him about this dream of hers. Yeah, but does he know that she spent $2,000 on a violin to give to a friend who has never played a violin and has no desire to learn? At the very least, you could contact her fiancé and ask for help in refusing. Say that you have tried to refuse this request, but she's really steamrolling you. Tell him that you are not going to be playing the violin at the ceremony, and you need his help getting that information through to the bride. I mean, that way you're getting the fiancé involved with a crazy that's affecting you. From there, hopefully you can notice the more crazy things that are happening, or rein this girl in a bit. What? Have been playing the violin for 15 years, and would still be nervous to perform a solo in front of a wedding. And it wouldn't sound as good as this lady's describing. It takes a lot of work to even sound good on a violin. Have you heard grade schoolers play? I would have to start practicing a solo now, and I know how to play. And now for the update. So, I sent a modified original post to her fiancé, and added after, I'm really worried because this seems pretty mentally unstable, way beyond normal bride stuff. Then I got his reply on Facebook from her, not her fiancé, at about 2 p.m. today. I didn't see it because she deleted me from her friends, and it went to a different mailbox. Thanks so much for trying to tell my husband I'm crazy. Thank God he understands what it is like to love someone, and what planning a wedding is all about. Excuse me that I have a dream I'm passionate about. Trust me, if you ever get a ring with that attitude, you will understand too, but I doubt it. Nice trying to get between us, but guess what, sweetie? Nothing could tear us apart. Least of all, you. Ha 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 ha. You're clearly jealous, and that makes me feel really bad for you. Then about an hour ago, I got a message from her fiancé. A long message. The too long didn't read is that she went freaking nuts on a florist because he couldn't do her entire wedding in Wisteria. The horror. Almost got arrested for making a scene in a store. Then he found out she has spent her financial aid / student loan money for the second half of summer and the fall in random wedding stuff like my violin, and has been booking venue tours and tastings with ridiculous expensive prices. If anyone's familiar with Texas, she's looking at doing her wedding in a giant castle in that ritzy Lake Travis part of Austin. You know, by the huge multi-million-dollar mansions. So I told her about the need for a budget and being realistic, and she threw an epic freaking fit. At this point, she left and went to her sister's house. I messaged him back saying that she may be bipolar and in a manic state, and to ask her sister to maybe get her to a doctor. But he was more upset and focused on being hurt at what she had said to him about the wedding than her. She threw a right little tantrum and accused us of sleeping together. I told him that needless to say, I would not be playing violin in their wedding, and that I was sorry for any trouble. But I really did think it was best he seek some mental health help for her. He said, "You made your point. You don't need to rub it in. I can take care of my family." I told him I understood and wished them the best. And I guess that is that. I didn't see her in class today though, and it looks like she won't be coming back for the fall unless she has a plan to get more money. Thank you for the help, everyone. I really did appreciate having a few hundred friends in this. The husband-to-be is still absorbing new information that he is reluctant to absorb. His best case scenario is that she is reckless bridezilla. He may want to be in denial with that for a while. I wouldn't be surprised if the OP gets messaged later confirming the bipolar diagnosis. I would be totally surprised if OP gets messaged later, but I would not be surprised with a bipolar diagnosis. You made your point. You don't need to rub it in. I can take care of my family. It sounds like he's still taking what OP said personally. Almost like he thinks she's being sarcastic instead of genuine when she says she needs medical help. Wow. Well, good on you for trying to reach out to the fiancé. Now that he is informed, how they deal with it is up to them. I think you can walk away with a completely clear conscience. And don't take her jab personally. You know she's not all there right now. You did great. OP, thanks for the update. Hey, I'm redoing my garden, and would like a full-size replica of the Taj Mahal as a centerpiece. I can get some stones if you can Google architecture. I'd like you to build it for me. If it's not too much, of course. By next Wednesday. Next story. My 35 male family won't come to my wedding because I haven't forgiven my relative, 36 male, for violating my ex. Looking for how I should handle this situation. Short story background info is a decade ago. I was engaged and my relative got drunk with my then fiancé after meeting for the first time and violated her. We ended up splitting a year after because she didn't feel comfortable around my family anymore, constantly being reminded of the night of the accident. I haven't spoken to that relative since, completely dropped him from my life, which has caused a tear in the family. I'm now happily engaged to a woman I love and have sent invitations, but none of the extended family has accepted because they are mad that I haven't forgiven my relative. They say, well, if you didn't do that, then you never would have met your current fiancé. And blood is thicker than water. To me, the ends don't justify the means, and family shouldn't get an automatic pass when it comes to stuff like this. They also say I should believe him and that it was consensual, instead of my crazy ex. But even if that were the case, it takes two people, and I've lost all respect for him and don't need that in my life. I'd love for them to be at the wedding, but if I have to make amends with this relative, then I'm okay with them not coming. As much as I didn't want there to be sides, it seems like they've chosen them already. I'd like to reach out to them to plead my case, but I'm not sure if that's the right play. Thanks in advance for any advice. Now for the advice. Anyone who faults you for insisting that your wedding be an offender-free zone is telling on themselves. No kidding. They're freaking disgusting. Personally, I just let them make their decision and leave it. Less plates to pay for at the wedding. It's great you moved on, and if there are things to hash out, I'd leave it to do after the wedding. You have enough stress going on. What do you think it would look like to plead your case to your family? What is the best case scenario? What is the worst case scenario? Best case scenario is that my family comes to the wedding and not let my relationship with that one family member affect their relationship with me. Worst case is that they choose to side with him and drop me from their lives. If they're calling your ex crazy because she was upset about being violated, are these people, family or not, whose feelings you should cuddle? Edit. This got bigger than I expected. I appreciate everyone taking the time to comment. I'll let them come to me. I said I like them there, but if they want to take sides, I'm okay dropping them too. It's in their court, and I'm not going to spend my energy justifying my feelings to them. Just wanted to say thanks again to the kind advice and for reinforcing my thoughts on the situation. The wedding is in a few months, and I'm going to enjoy the hell out of the day no matter what. Last story is titled, My 30 female close friend 37 female is relying on my husband 35 male for emotional support, and it's making me uncomfortable. The other day, my husband and I met our mutual friend at the pool with our daughters. We have known this friend and her husband for the better part of a decade and have all become quite close. About a year ago, she moved out of her home she shared with her husband to escape the marriage, which had turned abusive. I offered a lot of support to her in this time, offering our home to her and her children and helping to put her in touch with many different resources. I also offered my shoulder at any time she needed it and have encouraged her every step of the way. My husband and I have spent a lot of sleepless nights trying to ensure the health and well-being of everyone involved. It is a relief that she has initiated the divorce process and can begin to move on with the life she deserves, and we continue to support her. Recently, she offered to help us with a small errand while we were out of town. My husband met with her to exchange info prior to us leaving town, and it took him about an hour longer than he had planned. He called on his way home to let me know that he was running late as upon his arrival. She began to talk with him about her struggles with the divorce and was sobbing. I didn't think of it at the time, other than to feel badly for her and to make sure I checked in with her. When she arrived at the pool with her girls, we were applying sunscreen to all the kids. I asked if she wanted help applying hers as she's quite fair-skinned and did not have anyone to assist her. She said she did not need help. We all kind of stood awkwardly for a minute, and then I took all the kids with me across the park and into the pool. I noticed after a short time that my husband and friend had not come along. When I looked back to the area they had last been, my husband was applying sunscreen to her. She showed him something on her phone, and they stood and talked for about 5 minutes before joining me. Something about it made me feel extremely uncomfortable, and I kept it to myself for the majority of the day and played with the kids, but they both could tell I wasn't up for chat. Today, she messaged me and asked if I'm okay as I didn't seem like myself. I trust my husband and I also trust my friend. She has never in our friendship done anything to make me feel she isn't trustworthy. She struggles with a significant amount of anxiety and is obviously going through a difficult time, and I have always tried to support her. Likewise, my husband has never done anything to earn this trust. I recognize that my feelings are largely due to some internalized something. But at the end of the day, I was uncomfortable. I know leaning on someone for emotional support can change the dynamics of a relationship. How can I be honest with my friend about my discomfort while not adding to her distress or making her feel as though I do not trust her? Talk to your husband, share your feelings, and set some boundaries. If the situation doesn't stop, friend talks about her struggle, the anxiety, suggests therapy. Husband definitely needs to be clued into the fact that friend might be projecting onto him and setting herself up to have a transference experience. aka a bad time for y'all if y'all don't nip it now. Husband needs to have big fat boundaries in place, and he needs to be exercising them at all times. Talk to him. Remind him that she's emotionally compromised, and he needs to be responsible for the amount of attachment he allows her to form with him right now while she's vulnerable. Make it about them, not about you, because your reaction to their respective impropriety is correct and appropriate. Yeah, I would never ask a friend's partner to rub sunscreen on me. If you're catching a vibe, it's for a reason. Although your husband should have directed her back to you for help with sunscreen application, I can see how he may have gotten caught off guard with her request. What makes these kinds of situations annoying is that people will downplay the inappropriateness and act like it's no big deal because it's just sunscreen, or I was just in a bad headspace and he happened to be there to help me. But in my opinion, this is how the inappropriate friendships start, with the little stuff. I've seen friends make really poor judgment calls when they are going through divorces or other difficult life events. She should probably be talking to a therapist if she isn't already. If you aren't comfortable calling her out on the sunscreen and emotional support thing, then come up with a plan with your husband on how to handle her in the future. He needs to set some boundaries with her. Personally, I don't think you should ignore your gut feeling here. I had a close friend like this who I helped after her marriage ended, etc. I was rewarded by her and my husband, now ex, having an affair. I'd mention it to both of them how you felt, but be wary.
Update. I, 22 female, believe my boyfriend, 28 male, might be tampering with my toothbrush. Original post. This is probably the weirdest and most disgusting thing I've ever typed, but I think I'm slowly realizing that my boyfriend has been doing something really messed up. We've been together for about 1.5 years. He's always been a little passive-aggressive when he's upset. He won't talk things through. He just gets quiet or moody and gives me the silent treatment, or accuses me of trying to continue arguments when I'm just trying to hash things out until the conversation ends. He loves to reset and act like an issue or disagreement never happened. Anyway, a few months ago, I started noticing my toothbrush was being moved. It's electronic and would be off the charger on its side, or the whole thing scooted back or forward. I thought it was just getting knocked around because our countertop is small. Eventually, I started noticing that it would be wet in the middle of the day, or at times when I hadn't recently brushed my teeth. One time, I noticed something on it like it had been used to clean grout. That's when I started keeping a small spare toothbrush hidden in my makeup bag, which was never moved or messed with. Here's the part that really makes me feel sick. I finally confronted him after struggling to come to terms with the reality that someone might be this disgusting. I said something straightforward along the lines of, "Are you doing something to my toothbrush when you're mad at me?" And he just laughed and said, "You're crazy," and then refused to talk about it further. I don't even know how to process that. Like what? I haven't seen him do it. so I don't have proof. But I know something's up. I feel crazy, but my gut is screaming at me that this is real and he is getting back at me by putting my toothbrush in the toilet or doing something else gross. I haven't told anyone because it's honestly humiliating and gross, but I feel trapped between thinking I'm paranoid and realizing I might be with someone who would literally put my toothbrush in the toilet to get back at me. What do I even do? Now for the top advice before reading the update. We've been together for about 1.5 years. He's always been a little passive-aggressive when he's upset. He won't talk things through. He just gets quiet or moody and gives me the silent treatment, or accuses me of trying to continue arguments when I'm trying to hash things out until the conversation ends. He loves to reset and act like an issue or disagreement never happened. Would already be breakup worthy to me in a 1.5-year-old relationship. The fact that there's even a shadow of a doubt in your mind that he's capable of doing something this awful and disgusting would make me run for the hills. There are better guys out there, I promise. And being alone is 1,000,000 times better than being with someone who'd tamper with your stuff. You're right. I could definitely imagine it, because he's petty and has done similar things, like purposely leaving my food out to spoil and then returning it to the fridge because he was angry that I didn't feel like cooking and got delivery instead. He seems to get off on silently one-upping me, but all I want to do is talk things through because I have known him a very long time and care about him. Just break up. The fact that he's moody and gives you the silent treatment is enough of a reason. It's immature and exhausting behavior. But if you have this gut feeling about your toothbrush, just trust it and leave. You don't need proof. You don't need a good enough reason. Also, his response is bogus. If my husband asked me if I had tampered with my toothbrush, I'd reassure him, not call him crazy. Then I'd give him a new toothbrush from my stash if he doubted his. His response of calling you crazy is just unkind and doesn't explain your legit concern. Does he gaslight you in other ways? There are so many men out there that you won't have to worry about this with. Just dump him. I think I already knew I was going to, but needed reassurance to get the courage, and I've been too embarrassed to talk about it in real life. He's asleep next to me right now, and I haven't been able to sleep all night thinking about this dumb thing, so I made a throwaway. Lol. I don't know if he gaslights me, but he definitely believes there is a give and take to everything. And if I upset him, then in turn he has full rights to retaliate towards me, whether he mentions the issue to me or not. He's demeaning and discourages me from attending classes. I don't know what I was holding on to. Our old friendship and feelings, I guess. I could tell he thought me realizing was genuinely funny. Ugh. He's abusive. You're in an abusive relationship. Get the heck out of there. I'm leaving. Plans are coming together, kind of. Now for the update. When I wrote that first post, I felt sick, confused, and honestly ashamed. I didn't think anyone would even read it, let alone respond. But I did get responses, a lot of them. And something about that, being seen in a situation I've been quietly drowning in, shifted something in me. I didn't give him another chance because I still couldn't believe what was happening. I gave him one because part of me still wanted him to redeem himself. I wanted him to see how scared I was, how small he'd made me feel, and do something decent for once. After that first night I posted here, I thought maybe if I brought it up again, calmly, and gave him a real opening to be honest, he might finally do the right thing. Instead, he doubled down. This time he implied it might be his daughter, an 8-year-old girl. He shrugged and said, "Kids do weird stuff like that. Maybe she's been playing a trick on you." And when I tried to bring up how unsafe and confused I've felt for months, how he used to leave my food out on purpose when he was mad, how he pushed me to drop both work and school, how isolated and anxious I've become, he brushed it all off. Said they were just normal relationship disagreements that could have been worked through if I communicated better. It was so dismissive, it actually stunned me. I realized in that moment that nothing I said would ever matter to him, and never had. So I dropped it. I smiled. I pretended to believe him. I told him it was probably all just in my head. I didn't expect anyone to respond when I reached out. I've been so cut off from everything. But one of them did. Pretty much immediately, like she was waiting to hear from me again. She told me I could crash on her couch for a few weeks while I find a job back in my home state. Probably bartending or waitressing again. I don't care. I just needed out. She waited for me at a restaurant nearby. All I had to do was text her the second he left to drop his daughter off with her mom. The moment that door closed behind him, I grabbed everything I could carry, just a couple bags, and left all the big stuff behind without even looking back. It took 6 hours to get back home, but I'm here now. I'm safe. My body already feels different. Of course, I've already gotten texts, his daughter's mom and her family, asking where I've gone and begging me to come back, or saying the kid will miss me, that I was so good with her, and they need help. And yeah, I will miss her too. I really will. She didn't ask for any of this. I'm not doing this for anyone else anymore. I'm doing this for me. For the version of me who used to have friends, who used to go out and had a whole future planned. Thanks to everyone who commented and reminded me that being scared in your own home isn't normal. Y'all helped me find the nerve to leave. This will probably be my only update on Reddit, but if anything else exciting happens, maybe I'll come back to this throwaway account and let y'all know. Proud of you. Glad you got away safely. Don't respond to any of them and focus on healing. Congratulations! I did the same thing before leaving my ex, tried to give the chance to show up. I hope it helps you feel closure. I ended up giving another chance remotely, in the maybe we can be friends way, and of course it did not work. They show who they are. I hope you can heal, find yourself again, feel freedom and celebrate life. It helped me cement that it was over, even though I already knew. And they need help. This is a huge freaking thing here. His daughter's mom, who I assume is his ex, and her family are calling you. They couldn't even keep it to the manipulation of trying to make you out to be the bad guy for hurting her feelings. They just had to bring up that they needed your help. Have any of them asked how you are when you literally had to flee your ex? Her family has been messaging me like crazy trying to get me to come back. I misspoke. The daughter's mother never reached out to me herself. We've only spoken on a few occasions during drop-offs, where she was very nice but quiet. And that girl who helped you? That's amazing. She deserves a hug from every damn person on Reddit. She is amazing. I couldn't believe how quickly she was down to come so far to get me. Next story. Am I overreacting to a secret my husband just casually let slip on a date? Original post. My husband, 28 male, and I, 27 female, have been married for 6 years, together for 12. The thing I have always loved most about this man is that he adores me and is always 100% honest with me. Well, we just got home from a date. I'm still sitting in the car wondering if I'm crazy. But there was a time when we were about 23 years old where I really wanted a baby. We tried so hard for about a year, but it never happened. Honestly, I can admit now that the idea was out there, and I'm genuinely glad we didn't conceive then because our lives are so great now, and at this point, I don't even think I want kids. Anyway, on our date, he mentioned that time period when we were trying, and he let slip that every day before we did it, he would jerk off so that there would be less of a risk that it would actually happen. I think he admitted this because I was just talking about how glad I was that we didn't have kids, so he felt comfortable admitting that. I was so taken aback and started crying mid-date. I know it sounds dramatic, but I feel like I just learned that he's never been 100% honest with me like I thought. Why not just talk to me then and say, hey, I don't think it's the right time, instead of manipulating me? We did it every single day during that time, and now I'm just questioning everything. He's acting like it's no big deal, and that I'm just overreacting, but I feel extremely hurt right now. So, am I blowing this out of proportion? Now for the advice before reading the update. Perhaps it bothers you so much because love, marriage, and children are huge deals. Pretty big things to lie or be manipulative about, even though in this case it worked out. I would be asking myself and him if there is anything else he needs to tell me about. If not, I would try to move past this one, but he would need to acknowledge why I'm so upset instead of being so dismissive. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't appreciate it if the confession was the other way around, and you were doing something behind his back to increase the chances of conception without telling him. I would need him to get that before I could move on. Yes, this. It's not a white lie. Children are a big deal. It's good that you're happy with the way things turned out, but what if you didn't feel that way now? OP at the time, you really wanted kids, and he actively took steps to prevent that from happening. It's great that you can say you're happy with how your life is now, but you don't know what it's like to live any other way because of him. What else has he been doing to control your life? Are you saying you're happy with how your life turned out because you're trying to reconcile with not having kids? I feel like he's making a joke at your expense by making this confession. I would be madder that he thinks that affected anything. As a person who has gone through fertility issues and spoken to doctors about how conception works, him jerking off before sex does affect her ability to conceive. Most men need 48 hours to reload sperm viable enough for pregnancy. Now for the update. Hey everyone, I wanted to let you know what transpired last night following this post. I got so many helpful comments and I appreciate them all. Some comments were very out there and dramatic, even for me, but I still appreciate the time it took to read my post and reply. I saw some common themes, so I wanted to clarify a few things. Firstly, I did reflect back on that time and realized that I did have baby fever. And while he never outright told me he didn't want a baby, I can see now that he wasn't as enthusiastic as I was. So that could be on me for being so focused on what I wanted. Secondly, I was never upset that he didn't want a baby or even the way he went about it. The only thing that hurt my feelings was the withholding of information and not being direct with me. Following the initial hurt of the situation, we did sit down and talk it out. We have grown, and I explained my feelings to him. He apologized and understood why I felt hurt. We're going to be fine. I made it clear that in the future, he doesn't need to do something just to make me happy if his heart isn't in it, and we both agreed to be more direct with one another. We read some of the comments on this post together. Some made him open his eyes to how I was feeling, thank you. And others made us laugh out loud because they were a bit extreme. Also thank you because laughing together helped us. And yes, we now know that is not an effective form of birth control. Last story. I, 29 male, was warned not to marry my girlfriend, 28 female, by her best friend. What now? I've been with my girlfriend for 3 years, and I've been planning to propose in the next couple of months. Recently, we had a group of her friends over, and I decided to share my plans with one of her best friends. For context, her best friend is a gay man who's been in a committed relationship for 8 years. Their relationship seems stable, and while they're not married, they treat it as if they are. He's also very blunt. He tends to speak his mind even when it causes tension, and he's not great at sugarcoating things to avoid awkwardness. So, when I told him about my plan to propose, he looked a bit uncomfortable. He said, "Good luck," while glancing around like he wanted to leave. His reaction surprised me, so I asked if he had any tips or if there was something he wanted to get off his chest about me. He said he actually likes me and enjoys spending time with me, which made the situation more confusing. I asked him directly what was bothering him, thinking I could handle whatever he said. That's when he told me he had concerns, not about me but about my girlfriend. According to him, she has a pattern of being emotionally distant in relationships. He said she's dated people more for convenience than genuine affection, and that she only ever seemed truly excited about one guy in the past. Her excitement then was as simple as being eager to text him back or lighting up when he messaged her. He also pointed out that she still talks about her exes a lot, even though she doesn't keep in touch with them. I've noticed this too. She'll bring up old conversations with exes and talk about them in surprising detail. He also mentioned that she hasn't been single for more than a year since before high school. While he admitted that might be hypocritical, since he's been with his boyfriend since high school, he said he believes she sometimes confuses romantic relationships with emotional support systems. That hit home for me because during our first year together, I actually wondered if she was in love with him. I eventually dropped that thought after spending more time around him and realizing how committed he is to his boyfriend. And quite frankly, he is very gay. But the behaviors that raised my suspicions, her emotional dependence on him, only stopped after he established stronger boundaries. I remember a year into our relationship, my girlfriend got upset that he stopped coming over to comfort her after his boyfriend moved in full-time. They had an argument, and he apparently admitted that her lack of boundaries was part of the reason he pulled back. Sometimes she would even sleep over at his place, which always struck me as odd. Those were the kinds of things I thought I should be doing as her partner. What surprised me is that she's never been overly clingy with me. If anything, she's independent and sometimes distant. But with him, she had a strong emotional reliance. What started as me sharing exciting news turned into a conversation that left me feeling uncertain. I love my girlfriend, but her friend made some valid points that are now weighing on me. His comments echoed some things I had noticed but hadn't fully processed. Now I'm left wondering, why would he bring all this up? Was he trying to protect me, or was this crossing a line? Do I talk to my girlfriend about this? If I do, and she finds out what he said, what does that mean for their friendship, or for mine with her? Does she have a right to know her friend shared this with me? Personally, I'd maybe note this guy's advice, but you should make this decision really based on your experience and relationship. Like if his advice really hit home, then maybe bring up what you're worried or feeling to her. You have been dating for 3 years. If you don't fully agree with him, then maybe think on it some more if it's worth bringing up. I think it's somewhat normal to rely on friends in some emotional way. How is your relationship otherwise? Were there other issues that worried you before this? Yes, sometimes best friends have a hard time seeing that we've changed, or things have changed. His insight is valuable, but also everyone is grown up now. He should judge based on who she is today. What worries me the most about your post is the fact that the friend's observations about your girlfriend actually align with what you have seen and lived yourself. So he's not making it up or sabotaging your relationship for the fun of it. You have to determine if she's the person for you, if she loves you as much as you love her, if she's capable of giving you what you need in the long term. This, and also the fact that the best friend had to step back because her boundaries were crossing a line with his relationship. I'm just going to throw this out there. I think she has a thing for her gay best friend. I think he knows it too, and is trying to tell OP without actually telling him. My advice would be to hold off on the proposal and just reevaluate the whole relationship. Keep an eye out for more red flags from her part. It's better to find out now rather than after marriage. You might have just been given a huge gift, OP.